my first time.
Yeah, we'll be gentle.
We'll be gentle, Welcome to another exciting episode of the K-Road Chronicle podcast. We love our supporters, Mum. So on the show today we got Greg. Now, Greg, what do we say about Greg? Greg, do you want to introduce yourself? What's your story, mate?
Hi, Six.
Hey, babe.
I'm the bouncer for a nightclub on K Road.
One of my sponsors, I'm proud to say, Saloon Bar.
Saloon Bar.
And the same owners of, like, the telephone booth. What else do they own?
The telephone booth, that's the smallest bar in the world.
Yeah, I think they should have called it the Retardus.
What? Have you had a drink there?
Yeah, it's a nice little bar. Wayne Wazzer is a great host, and I really do quite enjoy it. It's nice. It's very nice.
Have you had a drink there, Greg, at the smallest bar in the world?
No, but I've occasionally, from time to time, had to remove people from the bar.
Ah, from the smallest bar in the world.
The smallest bar in the world.
How many people can you remove from a space that's that small?
It can take probably up to, say, 5.
5 people.
So, like, how long have you been working in, like, security for? Because
11 years.
not only do you do Saloon Bar, don't you do some other, like, establishments, like, such as Day Street? Do we call it a hostel, accommodation?
Yeah, it's under the city mission. So it's contracted out to the city mission, and I was working there.
Yeah.
But there are things about it that I don't agree with. Because I come from that lifestyle.
Yeah. Because you've got experience of homelessness yourself, yeah?
Indeed.
How long were you homeless for?
Homeless for a year.
A year. How did you get into that situation?
There was a shortage of houses,
Yeah.
and I'm an only child. Both my parents passed away.
Right. How
Yeah.
old were you when your parents passed?
18.
Oh, that's young.
And there I was, didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
No brothers, no sisters.
Yeah.
I was adopted out at birth.
Right. Whangai.
Found out at birth. So I became homeless.
Wow.
Whether people classify crashing on couches as homeless,
Totally is homelessness.
whether you want to class sleeping in a garage as a homeless,
Totally is homeless.
then that was me.
Yeah.
From at times I would have showers every 3rd to 4th day.
Yeah. That's more than some people have in showers.
And I picked up a whole lot of bad habits.
Do you want to talk about those habits?
I can.
Yeah.
I started off with a synthetic habit, synthetic cannabis,
Yeah.
and
So was that your gateway, synthetics?
that was the gateway.
Yeah.
In fact, I got that extreme that I became a cook of the synthetic cannabis itself.
Wow.
What does that involve?
Well, it involves a whole lot of chemicals getting sprayed over Damiana that is purchased from local discountees, then soaked in this bucket full of chemicals, and then dried up and placed into paper bags and sold to customers.
So this was obviously the illicit synthetics market.
Yes.
Is that quite similar to the way that the government was making it when they were selling it legally?
No.
Oh, totally different way.
Totally different way. This is very, very highly legal. It's just the chemicals that you are using when the ratio, when one chemical is higher than the other, you wouldn't see it as the person that's making it, but the guy smoking it down the road will, and you'll see everything come out of him. If someone dies from your product, you can't nail me as the person that made this product. So
what are the ingredients?
Well, I can name some of the
So,
ingredients.
name some of them, like without giving people a recipe.
Well, that's
and a how-to guide. But you know, what's some of the shit you're putting into it?
I'm putting in fly spray,
Fly spray.
Whoa.
nail polish remover,
Damn.
Oh yeah, that's useful.
and there is a powder that we import from Egypt.
Egypt.
In Egypt, it's out of a vending machine
Yeah.
in that country,
Fucking A.
and it cost $4.99.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, Egyptian dollar, and we go onto a secret website online.
Darknet.
Yes, you're quite right. And we import this product into New Zealand.
Like a smokable
It's
vegetable
only
matter.
it's only powder. It will
Oh,
dissolve
powder.
in water,
Yeah.
and then the Damiana will absorb it and take it in, and then it sits in there, and then before it gets baked. Once it gets baked, it's just drying it out for people.
Oh wow.
When you go into the Auckland market, I've seen the Auckland market, it's still wet. The paper's,
Yeah.
if you go and buy one, it's still wet. That's telling you that the cook or the chef has pretty much just scooped it in and given it to the...
Right.
So now you're smoking pure chemical rather than me drying it up and then handing it to you to smoke it.
Yeah. I've had synthetics a couple of times, and it was not a pleasant experience. And you know, it really pisses me off they call it synthetic cannabis, because it's nothing like cannabis.
Far from it.
And you
it's-
were cooking this shit.
And I was looking at this shit.
You know, and I'm sitting here, I've had friends, lots of friends, that have died from this. And I'm looking at you and thinking, what were you thinking?
It was a rough time. It's like really, really rough.
How did you justify that to yourself? Were you making good money?
Be honest, no.
No?
No.
You just basically supplying your own habit.
Not really supplying my own habit at the time because I wouldn't smoke my own stuff. I off-sell it to you, and then I go to the friend down
You
the
get
road
the good shit.
and I go and get the better stuff.
the legal stuff at the time.
No, this was all illegal. This was literally
okay.
only a couple of years ago in Wellington.
right.
That's how I ended up shifting.
Oh,
So with the good stuff that you're getting, though, they're making that completely different.
Of course.
Right. Where's that coming from?
And that's coming from the same vending machine, just a more expensive powder.
Oh, no way.
So the guy down the road will buy the more quality powder that will give you a better hit.
so these powders
Yes,
are in vending machines
in Egypt.
In Egypt.
in Egypt. Why?
Wow.
I don't know what they use it for. To be honest, I don't know what they use it for. But this
It's
is this
insane.
this
It's like a
guy.
Vice documentary.
My God, it's just. I thought I was street smart. I thought I was switched on. But every day I'm like, fuck, I am so fucking naive. But you're clean now, eh?
Absolutely.
You're on the straight and narrow.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I can see it in your smile. I can see it in the bounce in your step. But how did you turn things around?
It wasn't easy. I needed a lot of support. When I came to Auckland 2 years ago, I was in the Grace Foundation.
Oh, those guys are fantastic. That's
Dave,
Dave Latelli, Butterbean Motivation. It's, you know, tell me more about that. Because, every day they're handing out hungry food on the
Oh, the
street.
Grace Foundation.
We must get them on the podcast.
indeed, I reckon so.
Yeah.
So I was, both my cousins are well-known gang members in Auckland. Then I moved here, I had nowhere to go. And by chance, Dave let me stay at the Grace Foundation. Still, I was in this homelessness situation. And at times I didn't understand what I was going through. Didn't even know what this program was about and how this program was going to help me. But I just kept going anyway and kept staying there. And at
Dave's
times,
amazing, eh?
well, at the time, I didn't really like him because I had a few bad habits. I won't lie.
Yeah.
But the program requires you to be clean 100%. Not 50%, not 80%, not 99%, 100%. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah. And you get an apartment with that contract.
You get a room in a house, and you're supported by other people on the same waka. And Dave's staff will just come around and drug test every single people in the house.
Is that by just telling stupid jokes, and if you laugh, then you like obviously don't?
So, they bring
Do
in
you want some KFC?
it's done by a kit. I don't know where they get the kits from, but they have these kits, and they bring it out, and you perform the drug test.
You're pissing them.
Yes.
That's a bit invasive.
I think it's a bit fair, actually.
I think they should just go like, you know, like a horse walks into a bar. Horse says, ouch. Yeah, if you laugh at that joke, you're clearly stoned.
Well, I just laughed, but I'm not stoned.
Are you clean now? Are you
I am.
weed?
Occasionally at the bar, I've been offered weed,
Yeah.
but to be honest, it's very, very little of it. At times, I might find that I can't sleep. It's difficulty sleeping,
Yeah.
and I really don't like go to see a doctor and tell them I'm not sleeping, because then they'll think something's wrong with me. When clearly I'm not. There's nothing. But I will occasionally use marijuana.
So, yeah.
So from the Grace Foundation, where did you go from there?
Grace Foundation, finished from Grace, I moved in with family.
Oh, your cousins.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, not necessarily those cousins, just more family.
Because you're Māori, eh?
Pacific Islander.
Hey, Pacific Islander.
Yes. Pacific Islander.
I was thinking Pacific Islander, but then when you said whāngai, I was like, oh, okay, maybe Māori.
Might be
No,
the same word.
Did you grow up in the islands or grow up here?
I grew up here.
Yeah.
Born and bred in Wellington.
Wellington. Wellywood.
Wellywood.
What was your education like?
My education, I dropped out at high school.
How old were you?
I was 16.
Yeah, I did too.
But I recently graduated a bachelor in New Zealand Defence.
Oh, come on, we've got to do some sound effect. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, cool. What's that like? A bachelor in defence.
In New Zealand Defence.
Does that lead you into bouncing?
Not really.
It sounds like more
It's
like in the army or the police or something.
Yes, it is. It's kind of, it's understanding a lot about security. Like I said, I've done this 11 years. I know the ins and the outs. But I wasn't quite sure about its purpose and the intention of the role. And even though there's small courses that you can take that explain these things, nothing was, there was nothing that really answered my question, was what is the necessity of security in itself in New Zealand when we're protecting smaller establishments, but why don't we look at a country as a whole?
Yeah.
You've got these powders that are coming through the country, and that's a grave concern if it's got the ability to kill friends like your friends,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? So how do we stop that? And a voice like mine coming up and telling someone in government, they wouldn't want to hear me. They won't listen to me. They won't want to hear me. Even though I'm telling them, or I'm telling people in general, exactly what is. Because it comes to the stage where, like, worst case, I had to go and live this life just to show someone how it's made. It's not that hard. But the thing is, the people that actually smoke it are the people that are the ones, they are the ones who are getting the effect. Not me, not you. The people who are going to make it. we're not going to smoke it because I'm not going to smoke it. I turn around and tell you, no, I'm not smoking that.
Especially after seeing how it's made.
Especially after seeing it.
I want to eat chicken McNuggets now after seeing how they're made. But, carry on.
Yeah,
So
what'd you learn?
What did I learn? Well, there was a raft of things that I learned. I learned the importance of security in New Zealand. I learned there's more aspects around security than what I had come into this course not knowing nothing about. And I'll be honest, I didn't really. It was a course that was supposed to be 3 years, and I dragged it out to 6.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I did the same.
Oh, you have done the same.
Yeah, I mean, I took a while to get my degree too.
My 1
Slow
year
progress is still progress.
Yeah, I'm a slow learner. My 1 year diploma in journalism turned into about a 3-year escapade, to be honest. But yeah, got there in the end. And that's admirable. And then, what would be your advice to anybody out there that's maybe a little bit lost, maybe a little bit, and thinking, well, my life's a bit shit. How do I make that change?
Well, just before I get into that, I just want to say, some of the streeties that are in Auckland today were customers of mine down in Wellington. They've transferred to Auckland.
Yeah.
They walk around on Key Road, and I'm making eye contact with them at the bar. And little did they think I probably don't care about them, but I really, really do. And it was that care that I have for them that really stopped me from doing what I was doing. So when they look at me now, they probably think you're a really, really sad guy. You have stopped making this product we love. And I understand, they love it. But if I did love them, and I do, that's the reason why I stopped. I'm not helping the situation. I realise that. And my advice for anyone out there on the street, the biggest advice is keep reminding yourself that tomorrow is going to be a better day.
Yeah.
There's a quote that I just want to end this whole thing on, and it's what you say and what you believe about yourself is your reality.
That's cool.
And it's the same thing with me. I might have just started climbing when I started working for the bar, but in fact, it's been a long, long journey, and I can tell you it's not an easy journey. Synthetic cannabis in itself, were only 2 drugs of maybe 4 that I was addicted on. We haven't touched on meth, and we haven't touched on cocaine.
How available is cocaine?
Pretty available,
Is it?
indeed.
How much do you pay for cocaine? I heard it's pretty good shit.
It's $350 a gram.
I heard it's pretty expensive shit just now.
Yeah,
Fucking hell, really?
it's expensive.
Well, I'll stick to coffee.
Well, that's what pretty much that's what I think of it as. When anytime someone mentions drugs, or crime, I sit there and I think of my own life.
Yeah.
My life hasn't been the most perfect. When you're amongst these types of drugs, you're dealing it, violence comes with it.
Yeah.
Believe use me. I don't want to touch on that too much because that area is very, very sensitive in the sense of what I say through that mic could easily influence someone out there, the listener, to either do crime the way they perceive what I'm going to say. So I wouldn't touch too much, but I'll just say that I think all drugs are just bad for you. Just stop if you're on it.
Good advice.
So what's your high? What gets you off? Concert, music,
You guys, people.
Yeah, cool. That's why you're a bouncer now. You enjoy it?
And that's why I'm a bouncer.
What's it like being a bouncer on K Road?
Very good question. Bouncing on K Road is At first, I thought it was going to be a bit rough. But to be honest, it's very, very easy. It's not that hard. You know, one thing with security is you got to have good communication skills.
Yeah.
And when you're able to talk to your customers, read your customers, and what I read is a bit like psychology. You know, I'm studying your behavior.
Yeah.
I can tell before you make any moves what type of move you're probably going to make next.
Yeah.
And I can determine that by the way people talk, by just listening to what they say. Like, if you guys come when I'm on the door, you'll find that I am not as talkative as the last 10 minutes on this mic.
When you came up to me the other night and said, 6, are we still on for the podcast? I was like, what? Who are you?
So I usually just talk to mostly our staff.
Yeah.
6 will know, I always talk to our staff and have a very fine line or boundary for customers.
Right. How often are people crossing that line?
People cross the line every weekend, and it's a challenge for me every day that I work security. It's a challenge for me to hold my cool because I've got a bit of a temper issue, and
I'm just finishing up an anger management course, so.
oh well, believe you me, it works. But there
Oh,
are
it's good. It's really good. I highly recommend it. We're going to see if we can do a TV show about it. But, you know, how do you de-escalate? How do you avoid that point of conflict?
it's through
Kōrero.
kōrero,
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah.
tala noa. It's being able to tell someone something in a way that is not going to be seen as hurting them, but kind of like understanding them at the same time. But you see, in a bar or in a licensed venue, the key is tipping someone on the shoulder. You've got this big music going around. You're kind of like a DJ, so you know you've got this very loud music. I'm not able to really discuss with you in depth
It's not
what I
something-
want you to,
yeah.
what I want you to, what I want to talk to you about. So I just tap you on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, bro, can you come out? Can we have a chat outside?"
Yeah.
Already, if there's going to be any confrontation, it's now happening outside.
Yeah.
It's not happening in the middle of 50 people.
What happens though, and I've seen this myself, you know, there's a fight breaks out in the garden bar, a saloon bar, and it's like, what do? You charge in, or how do you diffuse that situation?
So you just
Because not only do you have to make sure the patrons are safe, you've actually got to make sure that these fuckwits fighting are safe.
safe. Yeah, indeed. Yes, so it is kind of tricky, but when you say fight, the first thing that should come to your mind is separate the two parties that are in a confrontation.
Yeah.
Remember, a confrontation is two people that cannot get on well.
Yeah.
One will always be bucking the other just by either sitting there
Have you
or...
met my mate Pete?
Pardon?
Have you met my mate Pete? You should. Can we get you involved in removing him from my life?
Careful, Six. He probably listens to this.
Yeah, I don't think he listens to anything. But no, carry on. The de-escalation.
So de-escalation is separating two parties, just removing one from the other and saying, "Hey, look, it's time to give it a break." So you bring one party outside, and they can. It all depends again on the person, on the individual, whether you're willing to cooperate with us. If you cooperate with me, fine, I can work around that. If you can't cooperate, you're at a level of intoxication where you're not going to be able to comprehend what I'm saying, then I am going to have very high concerns about you going back in, because I don't know whether you're going to be able to comprehend what I just said about don't go back in and fight.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realise that all you security guys are talking to each other, eh?
I want to say no so that they can keep thinking that we don't what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, bro, there's just a fuckwit just left here and he's on his way down to you. And it's
Indeed.
yeah.
There is groups on Facebook where we share information.
Yeah.
Well, you want to protect yourself too, right?
Indeed, we do, and we do want to let the bouncers down the road know that there's someone on their way down. Potentially, they could become a threat to their business. And when I say that, I mean that in a very broad manner. That they could either become confrontational to security staff or confrontational to other patrons or staff behind the bar. So you do want to give them the heads up, and vice versa.
So what's the path forward? I mean, you've obviously travelled a long way. You know, I mean, we haven't talked about times and places specific, but what's the future hold?
The future, believe it or not, is owning a business similar to Wayne.
Yeah.
And that's why I work so hard at Saloon Bar.
How many hours have you done?
It varies. Security, between security, I could do about 20.
Got good shoes?
Indeed.
Yeah. So any young cunts out there that are getting involved in security and maybe they got their first security job, what's your advice to them? You know, it's first day on the job. Bro, I'm here to help. What do I do?
The only advice, and one advice, is do more of this, listening,
Listening.
and do less of this talking.
More listening, less talking.
Indeed. Because you'll
Totally.
find that the more you talk, the more information comes out.
Yeah.
And remember, as a security, your first thing is holding the information in. It's securing that information is part of an asset. It's actually the most valuable asset that some people have.
And people need to know too that the security staff are there for your protection.
Indeed.
So if you feel harmed, if you there's a lot of, particularly our feminine friends, wahinis, they get into situations and they don't know where to turn. So turn to the security staff. That's what they're there for.
Turn to us. And if you're outside on the public, look, just dial 111 police. It's
Yeah, but you know what? You know the difference between Uber and the police is?
What's that?
Order an Uber, it'll turn up.
Order an officer and it doesn't. Well, as you say, where to from here? After a business, I'm looking at taking Mayor of Auckland off Wayne Brown.
Fucking A. How hard can it be? We've invited Wayne Brown onto the show. We've put out an invite, standing invite. So, Mayor Brown, if you're thinking about, actually doing something for Auckland, feel free to come on the podcast and let us know. Hey, look, Greg, I know, we're taking up your time before you start work, and I really do appreciate you taking this. It's been, eye-opening, to be honest, and I'm fortunate to call you a friend and a colleague. Dan, parting shots.
Parting shot. We get some people on the show saying K-Road's been getting more violent. Some say it's not. What's your take on that?
Well, Dan, it has been getting more violent. We have seen knives get produced to security officers. More recently, there was a stabbing just around the corner from the bar as we were finishing work.
And for those that are listening, you might remember Tex.
He's on one of the first few episodes.
One of the first few.
What happened there?
He was assaulted recently, and
so that's different from the one that I'm talking about.
Oh,
really?
another
Someone
incident.
Yeah, so this is another one that happened on a side street, just on that side street, where someone was murdered.
Murdered?
Yeah, they were
Recently?
stabbed. Yeah, it was just last
Yeah,
weekend.
and this shit doesn't even make the papers anymore.
It doesn't make the papers. No, it doesn't. It surprises me.
Oh, it's crazy.
So we were there. Our security staff
Why didn't you call me?
Oh, well, it was about 4:30 in the morning.
I would have been there. I would have got some shots.
Oh, all right.
Fuck, man. Carry on, sorry. Carry on.
So at 4 a.m, someone behind Saloon Bar there.
Yeah. There was an incident occurred, and from my understanding, a male was stabbed, and it was just when I was coming into work that I believed that they had passed away on the scene.
Be careful out there, huh? Thanks for people like you that are out there protecting
Yeah.
us.
Well, we try, and look, we can't always be there, but
Look, shit happens. And, you know, my number one advice and my parting words for this podcast is, like, if you are out and about, whether you're on Karangahape Road or Queen Street or Victoria Street down in Hamilton or, you know, Cuba Street in Wellington, look out for your mates, eh? You know, you just, you know, don't make yourself vulnerable and then put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Look, I'm going to wind up here, and I want to thank all my Patreon sponsors. Remember, we do have exclusive content on Patreon. If you do want to support us, a couple of dollars a month keeps us going, or an Apple. You know, just drop in an Apple. But, bro.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you so much for coming in.
so how do we donate to this cause?
Well, through Patreon.
Oh, right.
Or just throw cash at me or Dan.
Patreon.com/K-Road Chronicle.
Look, just go to patreon.com. You know, there's QR codes everywhere. If you lack the intelligence to find the Patreon link, then, you know, you probably lack the intelligence to download this podcast. But hey, no, I mean, I do want to thank it, you know, Saloon Bar, Lifewise, the White Lady, Salt and Better, Archos, you know, and everybody that, you know, helps us continue. And Greg.
And Greg.
Big ups, bro. Big ups. All right, thank you
so
much.
much.
No, you're too kind. No, please sit down. Please sit down. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah? Thanks, Greg.
All right.